This is Justin Amazon on Friday, March 22nd, 2019, with a look at the last few days. This uptrend channel that was drawing just yesterday, looking like we're pulling back into that pre-market and seeing if we can hold this line. I had to redraw this one a little bit, and it still looks like it's kind of at a different slope than this channel. So I think it's just a trick in my eyes because if I move this line back down, those totally overlap and it's a parallel channel line, So I think it's just my eyes that are throwing me off a little bit that it looks like it's not following the same angle, but it is. So it's just probably an optical illusion that it's just with the way that the stock moves on the 5 minute. Anyway, if we zoom in, this is where I usually like to kind of start things out like this. I just want to give you the last few days to show you where these lines are at and why they're at some of these levels. I mean, I don't remember if it was exactly here, but it's working right here, which isn't where I actually was focusing when I drew it. It was days ago that I was looking. So anyway, let's step into the day and see what happens here. Immediately get a high wave candle, runs up to our line at 1815, and it looks like it's holding this line, this uptrend line. Get a nice move through that price, and then come right back down through it, and then we collapse through this line. So, we've pushed through this line before, no big deal, bounced off of it, no big deal, pushed below. But right now we're pretty even with the low of pre-market. And we pretty much have I want to say kind of a bearish engulfing. So, I mean, the selling started way up here. So if you count this little upper wick and these two candles, that's more selling than you have buying because we're actually lower than the open low. You got to squint your eyes, merge some candles a little differently. But anyway, it's looking a little more bearish. And I'm good with a sell-off from up here because we're at our next line at 1815. It'd be great if we can pull back to this line, get a little rally, and roll back down. See if we can retest this line, then roll down to this line. Any of those things. If we pull back some more, I'm good with that. And then any of these levels could act as a nice target or nice support for a bounce. But I mean, Amazon's been in a tear. It's just been racing higher and higher and higher, and this could be just some bulls that have missed out and think they're going to get in today and push this higher yet another day, but it doesn't have to, but it could, So anyway, it's looking a little more bearish. Okay, so pulling back some more. That's a nice little hammer, not off of this line, but this is buyable. That's a nice move down from 1815. This is one that you could have been shorting and taking profits on this candle as it's not quite down here, but a nice hammer, a nice place to actually be bought up. You get inverted hammer, kind of stair step, a smaller hammer, and okay, here's the bounce. I mean, it's already bounced. I mean, this has been 15 minutes of some indecision. Now we're breaking out, but we're right into the 21. We've pushed back up, similar to the price that we were at in this low, a little bit past pre-market. It's not a great place to be buying. The great place to be buying was, in the range of this hammer. And you're already up maybe 1-to-1 right here, or maybe 1R right there. Now we throw an upper wick, inverted hammer. Doesn't quite get up to this line, just like this one didn't quite get into this line. And I'm not going to go back and redraw these to tighten it up right on that. But what if this is an S-curve here? What if this was our first S-curve quickly. Here's a slower S-curve off the 21, and that's now acting as resistance. It's actually this price up here, which is these lows, this high, this consolidation. That's the resistance we just ran into here. Look where the cursor is sitting, about 1810 right here. That's a good place that we paused and broke out yesterday that now we're pausing and reversing today. So again, if you set up a trade where you're going to take it below this low and a stop up above this line, that'd be a good maybe 1.5-to-1 down to the next line. But instead, we actually go sideways for a little bit here, still holding below the 21, getting a little bit of a curve down with these two candles. And this looks like a nice slower S curve. This was a quick S curve. This looks like a slower S curve. And again, I'm thinking a little more bearish because we couldn't get back up above this line. We couldn't get to this line. We couldn't get to this line. You know, there's going to be some people there's going to be a lot of people who have been buying that are just going to get out for profit. And here comes the selling. Now here we go. Right here, looks like we're going to bounce. Nice little hammers. This one has very little body. This one's a little bit more, but nice lower wicks, looking like it could bounce there. We actually made a lower low on the day from here with these candles, really this one. And the lows that we're at, not as clean as the lows here. Like we had the highs here, excuse me, from yesterday. But I mean, it's potentially viable here, you know. You're probably up 1.5 R or so if you were getting in off of that candle. If you're shorting from up here and you're still holding on, way to go. That, you know, that's really good if you were shorting up here and you're still in here. But we're going to consolidate and for 20 minutes go sideways and then break down. So now we're not even holding this line. We are at the lows from yesterday, from the day before here. Let's see if we can get, because we're at some lows, let's see if we can bounce here, get a retest up into this line, and do another S curve to roll over. Because, I mean, this has been going down pretty quick. I mean, this was quick. This is a little slower. What if we can roll up again, do an S curve, and then roll down again, and do it quick or slow, whatever. I don't know. But there you go. Continue to break down. We're staying below the 5. Some small or some larger bearish candle, small bullish candle, another bearish one. We're already down at 1780, which I think 1780 was a good price that we were pausing at. No, it was 1784. We were pausing at the other day. So that's where that indecision came in. Now we're at 1780. And I don't want to say it has to bounce here. It has to rally. But I mean, it'd be good for it to have a little bit of an S curve here, slow down a little bit. But if you're if you're still in, I mean, today was a great day to just go bearish, you know. Continues to move down, get a big bullish candle, starting to move up. We'll see if we can get into the 21, go sideways for a little bit, almost to the 21 here. This looks like kind of a really strange double bottom because you have this kind of plateau in the middle here. We'll see if we can touch the 21. There's a touch to the 21. Nice inverted hammer. Inside candle starting to break down. So this could totally roll over here. This is bulls that have missed all of this from days before, thinking this is a breakout above the highs, and they're going bullish here. And where did it actually reverse? Again, where the cursor is, 1788. That was the lows from yesterday. So we retested a pivot point from yesterday up here from below. Now we're retesting yesterday's lows from below. This is looking even more bearish than it already is, that it's going to continue to roll down. And it's got to squeeze. And where's it go? It goes down. It goes down, stair step, breaks the low, retest. This is a retest of the low. So some bears were loading up here because it's retesting the low. You could get in bearish here, the step up here. I give a little more room because, I mean, it did wick some people in bullish up here. It'd be nice if it wicked some more people in bullish right here and then rolled over, just because it kind of did that. And there you go. This is the false breakout, and it's actually a nice S curve that traps some more bulls just so that more bears could get in, and it does it again. And then some really small candles, and it's going to roll down here. And it's going to just continue on lower. Look at this. Look at all those opportunities to get in on those moves where you thought, oh, it shouldn't be this high. That's the idea of what's going on here. Again, just like after we made an all-time high on the daily, you know, I'm thinking back to this. We made this all-time high. Then we started to roll down, we rolled over here, and then we did this rally, and it's like, we really shouldn't be up here, and then it was all downhill from there. It was very similar today. You had these moves back up. It's like, we shouldn't be up here, roll over. we shouldn't be breaking this high, roll over. We shouldn't be breaking that high, roll over. And it's just like it's getting ready to trap more people, and then it does, you know. So here we're at. Here are, sorry, uh, way down. We moved, you know, from the 1815 price to 1765. You know, we had a really nice $50 move, 55.87 from the high to the low. The calls, I mean, the only place to buy was that open low, and then a little bit of that bounce in here with that hammer was potentially viable. The low here was at 6. Maybe you could have been getting in 7 by 6, you know, 8 by 7, something like that, and getting out right away because it just wasn't working. Move back up into that low price. That could have worked for a couple of our, but the rest of the day was just rolling down. On the puts, this is the 1775, sorry, the calls, that was the 1800 calls. Now I'm looking at the 1775 puts, which were under $1. You could have been just buying this for an absolute zero play, almost doubled from 1 to 2 here. Could have been buying anywhere in here and just holding it, and went from 1 up to 6. Didn't quite get back down to 1 through all here, and then it did here. And this one ran from 1 till 11. Not say you would have been buying that and maybe not held till 11, probably exiting like 6 or 7, or, you know, like the highs here, and you know, left some of this on the table. But it's like, that's okay. You've already gone from 1 to 6. That's 5R, you know. And had you done this, you know, from here from 1 to 6, and then again 1 to 6, I mean, that's 10R in 2 trades. If you look at the 1800 put, now this was pretty cool. There was some lows in here around 2 to 3, not just here at the open where it got between 2 and 3. Here also got, oh no, not quite as low as 3. This one you could have been buying 4 by 3. So this you could have been doing 3 by 2, and that ran up. And then here you could have been getting in like in this stair step here. 4 by 3 here. Let's see, 4 by 3 would have worked here. 4 by 3 not quite worked here. But this was, what time was this? 9:30 time frame. So during this, where we had these upper wicks, you have this inverted hammer and a couple more inverted hammers, and you could have been getting in 4 by 3 or 5 by 4 as this is breaking down, and just held that the rest of the day. And that, let's go look at the puts. That kind of move, I mean, even again here, getting in around 750, just going sideways here. Okay, let's say you got in at 5. It went to 35. I'm not saying you're going to hold all day, but from 5 to 35, that's 30R. And all you have to do is just be extremely patient and not worry about, you know, getting, not worry about like locking in your gains, just letting it ride. You know, it's expiring the same day, but it's like, okay, once you're up 10R, if you just let that ride on a Friday, sometimes it can turn into something massive. And I do mean like, hey, look, there's 10R, because right here went from 5 to 15 here. I mean, went from 5 all the way to almost 25. I mean, look at these moves. This is the 1800 puts. You had opportunities to get in around $3 here, went from 3 to 9 in just a matter of 15 minutes, 20 minutes. You know, there were some massive moves here just because this is your exhaustion. You know, this is the exhausted move that people are getting in thinking it's going to go. And it had one single candle close above our 1815 price, but we've had an 1815 in here for how long now? Going back to July. When did this get drawn in? July 13th. July 13th is when this line got drawn in here, or within a few days of that. So since July, we've had this line, and it's worked out, you know, in here where it was a good resistance. We had a sell-off like this right here. This is similar to where we're at right now. We've had this rally from this area, We've run up. We didn't get this candle, but we got this one where we sold off from that price. And for Monday, I would not be surprised if we had some sort of a little bit of a gap up and then rally and a sell-off in the no man's land here. And there was so much selling today that there should be some sort of a little bit of a bounce up, maybe up to 1780. Maybe it'll get bought up to these lows, maybe 1796, maybe even up to 1800. If it can stay below this line on Monday, if you kind of picture a gap up, let me draw something. Maybe this will happen. We'll see. I don't know if it will, but we'll see. What if we kind of get a gap up and it's going to do something like this and then roll back down? I mean, that gets up to 1800, 1805, anywhere in here, and then you have this being a bigger S curve, this is your bigger S curve kind of thing, and it's going to roll back down some more. And what if we keep on going? That's possible. Totally possible. Because back to the daily, we've had this massive rally. I mean, it's okay for us to have a little more of a dip, a little more selling off till we find our next place to pull back to and get bought back up, just like this. And these candles, we had sold off, we gapped up. We sold off, this was pretty flat. Let's see, sell off, gap up. Maybe we even wick higher, who knows? What if we get a wick way up here and then we sell off again? We could get a gap up and get bought back up, stay below this line, stay below 1815. Any of those things are possible. I'm going to be a little more bearish short term. Overall, this is very bullish. This is breaking out. It just needs to rest some, so if we have a little more of a pullback, definitely into 1747. That'd be great to have a pullback to there. But I think even more would be kind of a better move, and get a bigger S curve and then get going, over the next few weeks to continue higher, because this is really strong. I mean, the angle of this, it's similar to this rally, I mean, it's actually a little slower than this rally. But it's okay for these to have, a gentle kind of pullback and consolidate again and then get going again, that'd be fine to see. So anyway, hope that there was something that you were trading and were profitable on today. Going bearish on Amazon, even going bullish in a couple of places was possible. But overall today, the edge was definitely bearish, and there were some clear signals early on in the day that it's like, hey, we're not going to hold this. We're not going to stay up here and continue higher. And this high wave candle having kind of a breakout and then collapse was really helpful opening signal to say we're not moving up anymore today. So guess we'll be back Monday to see what happens next. Hope you enjoyed this video. This is Just Amazon. Thanks.